We're just going to make the sponge now, so near 150 margarine, 150 sugar. I'm making it by the creaming method, called the creaming method because you cream the butter and the sugar together. Years ago there was no electric appliances and they used to cream it with a wooden spoon. This makes to make it a little bit more light and fluffy rather than the all-in-one method, which you just whisk the 4 ingredients in. So now we need to put the egg in. Now I'm only going to put 2.5 eggs in because it should have, actually I'm going to put 3 in this one, and I'm going to save, put slightly less in the brownie. So I'm going to put the 3 eggs in this one here. I'm not going to put all this mixture in. So 1, 2, 3.5 are in there, but I'm not going to put them all in. And I'm going to put 1.5 in the brownie. Because I need half an egg to make the marzipan just now, which you can see on a separate video if you want to see how to make that, because I'm making Simnel muffins, one of the muffins I make. Oh, so on this tray I'm going to show you in a minute. So we're going to put a little bit of egg in, we're going to whisk it up on the machine. Oh, because it's not switched on, that'll help. So we put it on. When you're creaming it, you have to keep pushing this down. This hasn't got a lot of mixture in. If you've got a lot of mixture in it, you don't need to do this so often, but I've only got 3 eggs worth in here, and this can probably take about at least 10 eggs worth. A lot quicker on the machine. Obviously you can do it by hand or just with the hand whisking machine. We're going to put some self-raising flour in a minute. What I've done is, seeing I'm short of flour as well, I put half normal self-raising flour in and half gluten-free flour, which I've got in the cupboard. If you are gluten-free, obviously you have to put some baking powder in as well, and you have to put the gluten-free baking powder in because the normal baking powder has gluten in it. I'm going to be saving half an egg here, so I'll make sure I do save half an egg. That's about half an egg. That one's here, scrape it down with a spatula. Then I'm going to, I can beat it in, but you're meant to fold it in. So I'm just going to beat it in, but not too much once I put the flour in. It'll be quicker just doing it like that. So in there. And I'm going to put 150 in, but I might put some more in. I've got this already, and you can sieve it in as well actually by sieving it in actually. I'm going to get the sieve out, because by getting the sieve in you also add some more air to it, because it makes it lighter by sieving it in. So actually that'd be a good idea. Actually I'm going to beat it in too much, I'm going to fold it in a bit better. Normally I just do the all-in-one method at school, when we're at school, mainly because it saves a lot of washing up, because the technicians weigh it up for them so it can all be in one bowl, which is far quicker. Sometimes people put a bit of extra baking powder in with the all-in-one method. So it's 150 in here, but I might put a bit more in if I'm putting fruit in it, because that'll make it too wet. So I'm definitely going to put a little bit more flour in it, and it does look quite wet, but that would be okay for the almond one, because I'm going to put some ground almonds in it, which will dry it out, and some coconut. So the first one, so I'm doing a few different flavours. I have to be careful here that I don't get too carried away, and I do it divided up. So I've made some marzipan, so I'm definitely going to make some Simnel ones. I'm going to make 1 plain one first, or 2 plain ones. I'm going to make a thing called Madeleines, which are not the French looking Madeleines that you can see, which are the unusual shape. These are dipped in jam and coconut, which are really good. Normally use a Darrier mould for this, but I haven't got any Darrier moulds, so I'm just going to make them in this. Never made it like this before. At school we got loads of Darrier moulds, and we haven't got any. So we got some ramekins, so these are going to be a bit unusual, which you'll see later. These look really good though, they look good and they're quite easy to make. So the next thing I'm going to do is split it into different, put some in this bowl here, and I'm going to do some different flavours. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to make 2 little mini Simnel cakes. So normally a Simnel cake is quite large, and you have 11 marzipan balls on, to signify the 11 disciples minus Judas, because he obviously betrayed him. So it's 11, and you put little marzipan balls on, brush them with egg white, and we use the blowtorch. So I've never made them in the muffins before, but I'm doing that with a sort of egg. So you could put some other flavours in here. I might put a bit of cinnamon in. Everybody likes cinnamon in my household. So I've got some cinnamon here. I'm going to put some cinnamon in, but you can put in what you like mixed. Well, probably a bit too much cinnamon, too late. Orange zest and lemon zest would be quite good in there as well, but I think I might put Now I'm going to, might do that. So I'm going to put a little bit, so we're going to remember which ones are which here. It's going to be a bit hard to remember. So I'm going to put a little bit of mixture in each one, and that's going to be too big. So I'm going to get a dessert spoon or a tablespoon to get them in. So I usually do it with a tablespoon, so I'm going to do it with a tablespoon. So we're only going to half fill them. Put a bit of marzipan, then another bit of marzipan on top. And I've just made the marzipan with basically sugar, ground almonds, and a whole half an egg. You can use just the egg white, but I normally put a bit of both in. So I've got some marzipan here. So it's got raw egg in it, it's going to get cooked anyway, but I'm going to save some for the top here. So normally you'll just roll this out. Not that if it's a big cake you would, but I'm just going to pan it out round like this, or push it down like this. I'll put a bit in there like so. Another bit in here. I've never made this before, so it look quite good. Little Simnel muffins. One of my year 10s just made this for her homework, and I did email her back and ask her the question. She just made Simnel cake. She didn't put the marzipan balls on hers though, but she must have put marzipan inside it. I might ask her that next time I email her. So that goes on top of that one. I'm going to put some marzipan on top, like roll some marzipan on top, and then make some little balls. But I'm going to try and make 11 little balls for each one, so rather than one ball. I've never that would make them real tiny, like. So that's that one done. So the next one, what flavour? Oh, rhubarb. Now here we go. We got rhubarb. Pick this in the garden, as you can see. You can't eat the leaf, by the way. Slugs and snails do, because some of mine have got big holes in. It's got oxalic acid in it, which isn't very good for you. That's why it's poisonous. So all I do is wash this, chop it up, and if you want to, you can get a potato peeler and peel this part here. So don't eat that. Make sure you don't eat the actual green leaf, because it's a bit poisonous. So the next thing I'm going to do, so rather than stew it in the pan so it all goes to mush, you just sprinkle it with sugar, and then you get this cooked here and it stays nice and whole. So that's nice and soft, but it's nice and whole. So we're just going to make 2 of these, I think. There's only probably enough to flavour 2. And normally, rhubarb's well known for going with ginger. 2 year 8 pupils years ago, the person's in the lower 6th now, he won £1,000 for the school doing rhubarb and licorice panna cottas, and they won the Fit to Cook competition about a few years ago, and they were both in year 8 at the time. Okay, so we got a bit of rhubarb, so rhubarb and ginger. I quite like ginger, my wife's not keen on ginger. Syrup goes quite well in this, you can put some syrup in this. Oh, if you haven't got any sugar, by the way, you could use syrup, honey. 2 years ago, my year 11 pupils had to do different cakes with different amounts of sugar in, and could you make it with, and they made it with all different things. So 2 rhubarb ones, so 2 rhubarb and ginger ones here. Don't know if that's going to be quite enough for 2. Quite enough for 2 here. So stir this round. If you were making Easter cakes, you could just make them plain or with chocolate or chocolate chip. So these ones go in the middle. I'm going to try and remember which ones are which. It's going to be like Russian roulette. Sometimes if I was to make this and I was actually going to do a taste test on them, I'd number them all or just put a little label across here so I remember which ones are which, but I'm going to hopefully remember. But I might label them before I put them in, because I don't think I am going to remember. Actually, so we've got so far plain ones, rhubarb and Simnel. So, oh, now this one I've not made before as well. I've made this, I've made it before, but not exactly in this. I've got to see if I've got enough for 2 lots left. I think I might have. I'm not going to make the carrot ones, I don't think, actually. I'm going to leave that, because that could have gone in the carrot way, because I have got an avocado, so I'm going to do avocado and banana and a couple of pear ones to use up. So the next thing in here is avocado. There's not a lot of mixture here, which is a shame. I would have made far more normally. So I'm going to do avocado. So I only need this little bit here. I need about 1/4 of an avocado. But the rest of this I like with mayonnaise, or I chop it up with tomato and onion, make it like a guacamole. So push it round, open it up. You can twist it round, normally it opens quite easily. And these are nice and ripe, which is good. I like them ripe, I don't like them ripe. So I'm only going to use about 1/4 of one altogether. So these are good, because this is very similar to the banana, because you mash it with a fork. Now we do this in year 7. As we were making sponge today, we do this with every year actually. Year 7s do banana, apple, or carrot, and it's meant to be healthy cake by having less sugar, less fat, no salt in it, like not salted marge, and wholemeal flour, and a bigger ratio of flour to the rest, and then they grate the fruit in it. So this one goes in here. That's a quarter of an avocado. And banana. Banana's well known, obviously. You get banana loaf. For some reason they always make it in a loaf tin when they make banana. I don't know why that is, but quite often when you see banana cake it's more of a loaf tin, so, or banana bread they call it sometimes. So in here, mash up the banana. Oh, when you're mashing up the banana, quick tip on here, I have my thumb on the fork rather than down here. I get far better leverage. As you can see, dead easy to do it. Mashed up banana. So if you've got any brown bananas that are starting to go brown, this is a great way to use them up, because they're normally fine once they're cooked, so don't do them too before they go too brown. So they'll just stir it up. This will only make about 2. Oh, you could put some other flavours in this as well, whatever you've got, whatever you like. Almond and poppy seed I quite like actually. Now this one might have gone a bit runny, so what I might do is just put a tiny bit more flour in this. So I think we've got some, I don't know if it's in here, the self, that's the gluten free. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of any flour in. So, oh, there's some self-raised in here, I'll put a little bit of this in. So, tiny bit of this, because I think the banana and the avocado are quite wet, rather than some of the other stuff I put in there. So, only a tiny bit here. This will make at least 2. Now, I'm not worrying about mixing them all up here, as you can see. Oh, I could. You don't have to. Oh, one great thing about sponges, you can make them in any container you like. So I've not got quite enough to do 3. 2 they might be a bit too big, but I reckon avocado and banana can have a greenish colour, which people might think that pistachio or something else, but avocado is a bit unusual. It's a weird fruit stroke vegetable. It's got quite a lot of about 5% fat in. Not many vegetables have much fat in, but that's got the most in it, but they're meant to be quite healthy. People quite often eat these now on toast. I quite like them on toast, mashed up with an egg on top. Next one, so the last one, I'm worrying about having a little bit of each in there, but I am going to use this main thing. So the rest of this I'll just have with yogurt or heat it up and make custard to go with it. So a little bit of pear, poached pear. Definitely poached pear in them. Oh, I know one thing I was going to... Oh, I've made them. These ones could have coconut in actually, but we've got a little bit of almond, not a lot actually. I've run out of almond, but we've got some other things. Let's see what else we got in here that we can put in there. Oh, we could put maybe a few flaked almonds in. A few flaked almonds. I've even got some... I've got some flaked almonds which I've done in the oven, so you get a bit of toasted almonds. They could go in. I'm going to put some of those on top. If I put those on top and bake it, I think it's going to be too dark. So I'm going to put some of them in. Tiny bit of coconut. Oh, another one of my favourite cakes here, but I haven't made this today. If we have a look here, I've got coffee here. Obviously, if you use coffee, you just get a few teaspoons of that and dilute it with a tiny bit of water. Coffee and walnut cake is a real good one, and you can make coffee buttercream, which is, when I was a lad, that was definitely my favourite flavour cake. So this one here. And we just put the sponge in it. I might as well just put the sponge either way. I think I'm going to put it all this way actually. Won't make a lot of difference. So normally I wouldn't make loads of different flavours, so you don't have to do this, but I'm just showing you that you have to rummage through your cupboards and see what different flavours you've got. Maybe see your mum and dad and see what you fancy, see what they fancy. Quite a large ratio of pear in this one to sponge really. Probably a bit too much, but this will be okay. This will do 3. So really I should maybe put these in. Oh, I've got 3 on the line here. So I might draw myself a little map when they go in the oven. Yeah, so when they go in the oven, before they go in the oven, I'm going to draw a little map, because when they go in, when they come out, I know which ones are which, because I think I might forget. Sometimes I have different colour cases. Then I could have had yellow ones for the banana, green ones for the avocado. If I was doing carrot, they could have maybe orange or the red ones. That's an easy way to remember. So that's make sure you scrape the bowl out really well. As you can see, I didn't even use the carrot. Carrot cake's good. And it sometimes has cream cheese icing on top. So 3 ones here. I like all these flavours actually, so I've made 11 out of that mix. That should have made 9. But obviously I put some extra stuff in. These ones might be a bit too big, these pear ones. And there's probably slightly too much pear in. Anyway, that's Mr. Bloxham. So if you tune in, my next thing I'm going to make is chocolate brownie, but that will be on a separate video. So like and subscribe, thank you.